Guys, Flamengo greetings. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're just arriving, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, man, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a like on the video. I'm here with the new cap from Super Cap, the official Flamengo rowing cap, man. It's spectacular. You can find it here on the platforms, on YouTube itself, on YouTube Shopping, on Shopee, right? Now we have our store here on YouTube, and you also help Flamengo since these are official products. So in the official stores, you can also find this new cap, man, with embossed details. It's fantastic, okay? The new Super Cap from Flamengo with the crest and the rowing emblem. Yeah, and besides that, there are many other new caps from Super Cap that are just incredible. Yeah, look, man, really good news, the news now. And it turns out that the prosecutor from São Paulo, you know, the one I told you about, the one who had filed a complaint against Flamengo, yeah, he just got destroyed. He just got taken down. He just got ridiculed, right, by the STJD. Flamengo was acquitted in the STJD case. They could have lost the right to play at home for up to 10 games, right? Lost the right to host home games in 10 games. And simply, the guy got really screwed, really screwed. Flamengo turned this situation around, right? So we can clearly see that there are people trying to mess with Flamengo. There are people trying to get in the way. The big bad, as they like to call it, right? This ridiculous narrative of making Flamengo the villain. Flamengo, we joke, we call it the big bad, because they beat everyone, they win against everyone. It's not because they do bad things, no. And then these guys try in every way to harm Flamengo. So I came here because the news is very important. It's another victory. Flamengo wins again today. They tried. I have no doubt there were people trying to scheme to mess up Flamengo, trying to blame Flamengo for something they didn't do, trying to make Flamengo lose the right to host home games. Even Vasco, Fluminense, Botafogo fans who do live streams with me, do shows with me on Placar, agreed that what they tried to do was absurd, that it was blaming Flamengo for something they weren't responsible for. So the STJD acquitted Flamengo after a complaint about the confusion around Maracanã. Yeah, Flamengo was acquitted in the full panel there right after a complaint was filed against it because of the confusion and scenes of violence around Maracanã after the derby against Vasco. The decision made today in the first instance in the third disciplinary committee. They dismissed the argument that the club is responsible for the conflicts that happened. In this case, they wanted a punishment of up to 10 home game bans. Also a fine amount, as if Flamengo were guilty for something that happens in the city of Rio de Janeiro, outside the stadium, right? The decision made today in the first instance by the third disciplinary committee dismissed any argument that the club is responsible and so on. The judges acknowledged the seriousness of the conflicts, but also pointed out that the complaint couldn't even specify exactly at which points on the streets. Look at this shame, man. What a shame. What a ridiculous complaint. Is it going to be like this against Flamengo? Are you going to do this now? Report Flamengo just to try to harm them? What a shame, man. I'm ashamed of these people, man. I can't generalize because the STJD judges did a great job. I'll even bring their side here, but there are people inside the STJD who are messing around with Flamengo, right? Yeah, it couldn't even clearly specify which streets near the stadium the conflicts happened on, okay? Look, here's a quote from Pedro Gonet. We do not have the authority in this court to exercise general police power over public roads, transportation stations, or urban routes, or conflicts that, although temporarily associated with the match, are primarily under the jurisdiction of public security and criminal law. If we are not allowed to take this stance, the club cannot be required to adopt this behavior either. Man, the guy who knows, you can see the prosecutor there who filed a complaint against Flamengo. He doesn't know the rules. He had to get a scolding from Pedro Gonet himself, from the STJD. He had to give him a real talking to, a good one, telling him, come on, my friend, go learn the rules. Not even the STJD can get involved in this. Right? He says that, well, right, that even though they happened around the time of the match, they're primarily under the jurisdiction of public security and criminal law. If we are not allowed to take this stance, nor are we allowed to judge it, then the club cannot be required to adopt this behavior either. Perfect. Pedro Gone did really well on that one. The prosecutor's office even argued that a principle from the general sports law could be applied to stipulate, look at what they tried to do to Flamengo. They tried everything to charge Flamengo and take away Flamengo's home games. And that's desperation, guys. There are people scheming behind this. It's not possible. Yeah, but are you implying something? I'm just saying there's no explanation. You can't base it on anything. Something that doesn't have a theory behind it. There's nothing that proves it, no evidence, there's no real proof that's actually worth anything. The prosecutor's office even argued that this general sports law should be applied, but that theory was dismissed. Flamengo's defense was handled by attorney João Marcelo Campos. He emphasized that the provision does not refer to actions under the umbrella of the home club, but rather that this rule is used for individual responsibility for acts committed by a fan. Is that correct? So even what they tried to use against Flamengo only served to make these guys embarrass themselves. Look at that. Yeah, and then, it comes back to that issue, right? People from São Paulo filing complaints, right? People from São Paulo trying to interfere. And what about today's referee? He's from São Paulo, right? A São Paulo officiating crew, right? In refereeing. That's what I tell you. There's no conflict. Flamengo competing for everything with Palmeiras, which is from São Paulo, and people from São Paulo wanting to act, wanting to be in charge, wanting to get involved, right? Yeah. Then we had I'm not going to mention the name. They even sent me here with a little green tie, right? Palmeiras style. I figured, right? What a shame, man. What a shame. I'm going to tell you guys. Yeah. Man, it's hard for us, right? To believe Flamengo, just look at that, huh? Look at this one. And this one too, okay? Flamengo is right to do this. Flamengo, to the despair of Mrs. Leila Pereira, who complained that Flamengo posted the officiating crew, Flamengo keeps showing the face of whoever is going to referee Flamengo's games, okay? Flamengo is showing there, look, everyone involved in the upcoming game, okay? Rafael Klaus. Flamengo is showing Rafael Klaus on its official profile. This is the one who's going to referee, okay? Check out the officiating crew. Palmeiras, I already released a statement about this, right? Siga Nação Rubro Negra already commented here. I got a card just from seeing this post. That's right. They're going to want to give Flamengo a lot of cards today. Assistant referee 1, Danilo Ricardo Simon Manes. Assistant referee 2, Bruno Bosquilha from Paraná. The first one is from São Paulo. The fourth referee is Emerson Souza Silva from Bahia. Is it a team from Bahia? I didn't understand. The VAR, Daniel Nobrebins from Rio Grande do Sul, okay? And then Flamengo with the hashtag "Do let the ball roll," because Flamengo is one of the clubs most affected by the issue of minutes with the ball in play, right? So guys, it's shameful, okay? We have it here. Flamengo, considering its history with Vitória and Salvador, has a streak of the same results there, right? So Flamengo beat Vitória in 2014 2-1, in 2016 2-1, in 2017 2-1, in 2018 2-2, in 2024 2-1, in 2025 2-1, and in 2026 2-1. Flamengo has a lot of 2-1 results against Vitória, okay? So today, 2-1 for Flamengo, or 2-2 also works. Isn't that right? Look, let me share some news. Flamengo's midfielder Jorginho has been hired, huh? Jorginho has been hired. Breaking news. Unbelievable. I didn't expect that, okay? Globo announced Jorginho's appearance. Flamengo fans are surprised, right? They'll want to follow the World Cup with Jorginho commenting. Midfielder Jorginho will be one of the World Cup commentators. The Italo-Brazilian will comment on the matches for GETV and also for Sport TV. He's set to join the broadcast for Brazil's first 3 group stage matches. That's awesome. I bet he'll draw in the Flamengo fans. It's impressive. Globo knows he's already become an idol, right? So Globo is trying to capture the Flamengo fans' viewership. People are saying it's going to be beautiful, and the rivals go crazy because the guy is playing for Flamengo, Jorginho. Jorginho playing for Flamengo, hired by Globo to commentate on the World Cup Brazil's matches. That's crazy, Jorginho. Globo hired him during his time at Flamengo. Globo hired him to be the commentator for Sport TV and GETV during Brazil's matches in the World Cup. That's impressive, huh? Jorginho, man, he's a star, right? But the rival fans go crazy, don't they? The guy playing for Flamengo, they'll say Mama Globo, right? They go wild, Mama Globo. But look, amazing. Congratulations to Jorginho on being hired by Globo, right? At the World Cup, right? That's great. Let the haters complain. Look, let me also bring some important information. The CBF announced the renewal of coach Carlo Ancelotti's contract until 2030, okay? Until the 2030 World Cup, they're keeping Ancelotti, but it's that kind of guaranteed, you know? Like, hey son, you're here, daddy's here, okay? Look, Tim just got here now, guys, so Ancelotti is guaranteed until the 2030 World Cup. He might ask for it, but just wait until he loses in 2026 in some ugly way and see if he makes it to 2030. That contract is just waiting to be broken, my friends. That's the reality, okay? Yes, since we're talking about the World Cup, right? About Jorginho, about Ancelotti. Yeah, the forwards from Flamengo and Chelsea are fighting for the last attacking spot on the World Cup squad. Yeah, according to Gilmar Ferreira on Sport TV, okay? Coach Carlo Ancelotti has just one decision to make up front for the call-up, whether to take Pedro from Flamengo or João Pedro from Chelsea. Pedro is doing much better than João Pedro, his namesake, right? I can call them namesakes, right? João Pedro, right? Pedro. So, the two of them are competing for this last spot. The information I have is that Ancelotti already knows which forwards he wants. Yeah, the only doubt right now is Pedro or João Pedro in the attack. That's the information I have, okay? And today, May 14th, the one who could be left out of a possible call-up for Neymar to come in would be André Santos, okay? So that's information from Gilmar Ferreira. We invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. On YouTube, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video. Greetings, I'm Negris. This is Flamengo. Thanks and big hug. I'm out.